do a lot of things for yourself. However, there are times when the best made plans go awry. And I think that's where I was taught the skills that I'm now using in the entrepreneur world, because you have a plan B for any mission, and many people know that plan goes to pot pretty quickly in some arenas. And then you need to adapt, overcome, use everything you know to make sure the mission gets met. And I think, wow, that is so much like entrepreneurship, because you have this idea and these goals, and you're going to have this many clients and make this much revenue, and you have your projections and all the fancy schmancy plans, and then they don't
they don't work like that, do they?
And then you have to start going, okay, plan B, plan C, plan D, and we're already at plan, not what would be C right now.
Now, when it comes to, being flexible, because flexibility is a major key for an entrepreneur. And I know a lot of people who haven't taken that's a major thing for them. Were you naturally that flexible as far as making backup plans, or is it something that you purely learned in the military?
I grew up in the most chaotic environment in terms of moving 16 times by the time I was 14. My dad was in construction. My mom was a nurse, and sometimes we'd have literally 5 or 6 hours to get our house packed up and moved.
Wow.
And that just really created a ton of flexibility in terms of my relationship with time and stuff and, attachments to things. I think that then the military does the same thing, because you move, you switch units, you switch squadrons, and even though the mission is changing in each of those units, there's still some standard operating procedures that you can cling to. And I think that's why I created Major Mom, because I saw people being really organized at work in the corporate environment, but they were totally disorganized in their business or their home, their office, not invoicing people, just not being on top of their game with good time management. And that's why 8 years ago we started this organizing company to help others really keep their act together, if you will, because I don't know if you agree with me, Eugene, but I think that being organized is a critical skill in entrepreneurship.
I agree 100%. In fact, we're talking to Miss Angela Cody, owner of Major Mom. She helps individuals, businesses get organized with her business, former United.
It's meant to outgather other people that have great skills than you do in certain areas so that you can do what you're super good at versus spending lots of time in the office doing something you hate doing.
Right. And you know what? There are businesses out there where the owner actually works for the guy he hired as a CEO or the girl they hired as a CEO just because the owner knows his limitations. And I think that's a great piece of advice. What are some other things that you found that simply being organized can do to help entrepreneurs succeed?
Well, being organized in terms of your office, in your life, it saves you time, money, and energy. A lot of business owners that we organize have duplicate purchases on so many levels, which is such a waste of time. Source and
that's an officer. Angela, we've been on the process of talking about organization, and one of the things that businesses have to get organized for is when it comes to raising capital and bringing in investors. Have you ever raised capital at all?
Oh, goodness, I have raised capital. I've been on Shark Tank. I've done pitch competitions all over the United States. And I
think a general theme that when you do pitch competitions or talk to investors, is there something general that they all want to know?
I think the one thing that I see a lot is they want to know the numbers inside and out. But beyond the numbers, because those are all over the board in terms of how good somebody is at what they do in producing those numbers. But what I noticed is the main question that investors seem to get at is, why are you doing this business?
To see
the website, contact us. They're listening, have some questions about organizing their home office or just entrepreneurial questions in general. We have a question button on our website. If you hit contact us, that questions will be directed directly to me, and I can spend a few seconds with you and help you out, because getting organized is not a luxury. It's a necessity.
Oh, I like that. Angela Cody, owner of Major Mom, thanks for taking your time out on HomeBaBiz.com.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a majorly organized day.
Connect, capitalize, go. All new Radio for Business.
It's the podcast for business.
Through that, I'm not doing people's lunch dishes.
Highlighting the best emerging talent.
Oh my God, all these people that have gotten the product and wrote up on it. That's amazing.
The podcast for business, live every weekday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
If I think positive about the results, only positive results are going to come to me.
You never know what you'll hear.
If we didn't have that foundation, I don't think I would have had the balls. Well, I don't have balls, but
hey, you can say it. We're on the internet. It's okay.
Okay, I wouldn't have had the guts to do that.
Connect, capitalize, go. All new Radio for Small Business.
Do you remember how awesome it felt to receive a real handwritten note in the mail from a friend? Tomer Alpert of Felt is bringing that feeling back. Tomer Alpert, welcome to Radio for Small Business.
If anybody out
One night, and on the way, I wanted to send the host a thank you card. And the stores were all closed. We had no idea where our stamps were. And I thought, there just has to be an app by now that lets you do this. So we went onto the App Store, and the only apps that existed let you type your message, and then they printed your literal text message onto a card. And we just didn't feel that was very personal. So we got really excited and, basically went to work the next day on Chrome. Do it as far as you can. Do it on your own, before you go out and look for investors. So, we literally downloaded some art apps that let you draw, and then we printed them, and we started on that first because we figured that was going to be the hardest part of the whole product. So we found some really interesting ways to make handwriting when it prints look completely authentic. And today, people email us and they're like, I sent my mom a Mother's Day card, and then I called her because I wanted to tell her about Felt, and she couldn't understand how the card she received was from an app.
Wow.
Because it was their handwriting and it looked so authentic. And so that was the first thing that we did. Yep. And then we started building our team. Once we figured out we could make a card look real and just replace pen and paper with your app and your finger, we started building the team. And the first thing that we looked is okay, what don't we do well? What parts of this business are we going to need to find other people to help us with? And the very first one, I have a lot of experience in entrepreneurship, but never in consumer products and consumer brands. Okay. And I knew from day one that I wanted Felt to be a brand that millions of people used. So I quickly looked through my network and within a day found the perfect partner for Felt. And they so we're 4 co-founders. David and Andrew are the 2 that we found through our network. And they are, brand experts. They're advertising executives and brand launching experts. Wow. So, they helped us put the whole thing together.
That's crazy because most people would ask themselves, what can I do to save the most money? And you said, what do I not do well? What kind of training or mentality had you developed before then to get you to even ask that question?
Yeah, what got me to ask that question was my experience building money with your own resources. Do on our own, that all of our savings went into Felt, hundreds of thousands of dollars, credit card bills. But beyond that, it was also partnerships. It was okay, typically, for instance, our 2 partners are brand executives, and they run one of the premier design firms in the country. And typically, I think a lot of people would think, okay, we should raise money so that we can go hire people like that. But I also know that to build a real business, people need to have ownership. They need to be putting their sweat and tears into it. And you don't do that if you're doing it just as a contractor or as a vendor.
Oh, okay.
You do that only if it's your business.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I made them, full-time partners in Felt over a period of time, but that was always the vision.
So kind of giving them equity, sweat equity, so to speak, I'm guessing?
Yeah, sweat equity. Yeah, I think that's what I would call it, too.
Gotcha. So not only that, but you eventually decided, to start raising capital. We all know you were on ABC's Shark Tank. A lot of people think that's just a game show. What's different from the viewer's side that's totally different on the side when you're on the carpet pitching for investors?
Yeah, I think the notion that it's a game show is not correct. I can say going through the process now, it's legit. The sharks don't know the company's coming out. their means on in 2015, and then came out, and the iPad Pro came out, and then Apple built a stylus that lets you handwrite, in a very real way.
So it sounds like, and I didn't want to cut you off, but going back to what you just said, it sounds like you spent a lot of time invested.
The bigger iPhone's making, and then we could tell our investors, the reason it's valued at X number of millions of dollars is because we've done these 10 things that reduce the risk dramatically.
So let me ask you this, and, this is not a normal question, but if you had to value the company confidently without building that networking system before you went on Shark Tank, what do you think you would have had to evaluate at in order to get a shark interested?
So we devalued our company when we went on Shark Tank.
Wow.
When we talked to private investors, it was valued much higher. And, we did that strategically. We wanted to engage the sharks on a positive note. We didn't want to go into Shark Tank and, look greedy. We didn't want to go into Shark Tank from a negotiation standpoint. We wanted to go on there trying to, attract the best investor.
Gotcha.
And we wanted them to know that we're being very upfront. We know they have value beyond just capital. And so we're valuing that differently than we would if we went to just a normal private investor who can't bring, media exposure, partnerships, and other things to the table.
Right.
And so we were just very upfront.
That's the great thing about being on the television exposure, right? You probably got access to tens, if not hundreds of millions of people in a single night. And I agree with you. I think there is a value to that. So I appreciate you really kind of going that angle, because I don't know. I talk to people and they still think you just show up, you put some things on a table, and the sharks want to give you money.
Yeah, I think it's part of our culture at Felt is just to be very upfront, very transparent, very real and honest. And so I think we did a really good job of not losing that when we went kind of on to the primetime big stage finally.
Cool. Well, I got to tell you, I do think I'll be going on to Felt a little later today, Tomer. And I think I'll be sending out some postcards myself. I like the idea of being able to take the picture and put my fingerprints on it and not actually have to find a stamp, find an envelope, and trek over to the post office. Do your customers tell you similar things?
Yeah, that's the number one reason people use Felt, is because it's the perfect marriage of modern day technology with this tradition. And it's still made to keep the authenticity intact, right? It's still your handwriting. You created it. The only thing that's different is my mom loves it.
And it's mom, right? Because mom is going to appreciate it no matter what it is, right? So
yeah, I mean, I use Felt. Obviously, I'm a little different, but I use Felt for, business interactions. I use Felt for sincere, heartfelt expressions, because I just think I've been around this for a long time, and I've thought about this long and hard. And I've decided to put my own money into it, namely because when I handwrite it, no matter if I use my finger on my iPhone or if I use the Apple Pencil on my iPad or pen and paper, the fact that I actually handwrite my message, I have basically...
It's yours.
Period. Because before she wasn't getting them in this at all anyway.
Tomer, why don't you tell the listeners how to find out more information and download your app?
Sounds great. Yeah, you can just go to the App Store on your iPhone or iPad.
Oh, my God, all these people on it. That's amazing.
The Podcast for Business, live every weekday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
If I think positive about the results, only positive results are going to come to me.
You never know what you'll hear.
If we didn't have that foundation, I don't think I would have had the balls. Well, I don't have balls, but...
Hey, you can say it. We're on the internet. It's okay.
Okay. I wouldn't have had the guts to do that.
Connect, capitalize, go.
Hi, I'm Eugene Rowe, host of the Podcast for Business. On behalf of our team, I'd like to say thanks. Every month, we're able to impact thousands of lives all over the globe with relevant, impactful, and insightful guests. Some of them have even been featured on national television shows like ABC's Shark Tank and CNBC's The Profit. Our mission is simple: to journey with you on your road to achievement. To do that, I'd like to invite you to partner with us in our Share All promise. I promise to continually share for free, without commercial interruption and unnecessary subscriptions. And I ask that you promise to share us with your friends. Here's something you like? Simply use the social share buttons at the bottom of the page to tell your network about the Podcast for Business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it, partner. You've made the Share All promise.
Inside the mind of the owner. Radio for small business. Connect, capitalize, go.
It's Eugene Rowe with the Radio for Small Business. Visit homebupiz.com for great interviews, tips, tricks, hints, and everything with real entrepreneurs. Connect, capitalize, and go. Okay, this guest built his business from the ground up. It's built by a passionate and driven brother-sister millennial team in their hometown of Carmel, California. Skylar, Scarlett, welcome to Radio for Small Business.
Yeah, Eugene, thank you so much for having me.
Now,
pleasure to be on your show.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Glace Cryotherapy, that's your business. You guys just had a big appearance on national television. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll get into some specifics.
Yeah, no, so we, my sister and I, we found a new therapy in America, and we dove right into it in our hometown, tiny Carmel, California. Only has a population of 4,000, but we really saw a quick success. And we applied to Shark Tank, I think, when we were 7 months in business, and fortunately for us, we beat out 70,000 other entrepreneurs to appear on season 7, episode 20.
Wow.
And have just kind of taken off ever since. And it's been quite the journey for us so far.
So, Skylar, you already said 3 things I've got to ask about. First of all, you work with your sister. You know, a lot of people have sibling rivalries and things like that. How do you all get along, and how do you make the business run?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, we're 6 years apart, and we grew up, we hated each other. So that's a great question to ask. I think the thing is, we're actually the perfect team. I'm kind of the big dreamer who, I think I could open 1,000 locations in a year. And she's more reserved and more the container. And, she makes sure that we're organized and balanced and we don't rush into anything. So we kind of balance each other out, and we have different strengths. I'm really the science guy, and, she's very good with paperwork and being organized and marketing.
Gotcha.
So we kind of have our different areas that we focus on. You want to have a good entrepreneur team, you need to have both types of people. Someone who is a big dreamer who really, is very optimistic, and then you need to have someone who's more reserved, because the combination will really balance you out in the long term.
Right. And I've got to applaud you, because I've done business with family before, and it was
They have gotten the product and wrote up on.
To bring cryotherapy to America, we were definitely at a low point, but we both had the motivation to say we want to have better lives. We want to feel something inside of each other and make this happen.
Wow.
That's really where the motivation comes from.
So even though two big personal, I guess, low points, like you said, you came out with a great idea, obviously, and then you're in business for 7 months and you beat out 70,000 applicants for Shark Tank. What do you think set you all apart from the other 69,993 applicants?
Well, first of all, I think we were lucky to So when we start stage, you got to get past when you're playing. We made a good 10-minute video. I kind of popped out of the crowd on like a Jack in the Box, and they told us that the producers just loved the video, and I think that's really what set us apart. Shark Tank, and she's very, very passionate. I just know from my friends that they really do. We all kind of want to do our own thing, and have a huge impact.
Wow.
So I do like the fact that we're millennials, and we've seen quick success. Hasn't been without the occasional valleys, which every entrepreneur will encounter.
Right.
But there's been a lot of peaks, which have been fantastic for us so far.
So great, awesome. So now a lot of people think just because you go on Shark Tank, you're a contestant on a TV show, okay? But you're actually pitching a business opportunity, an investment opportunity. Had you guys pitched investors prior to even applying for Shark Tank?
No, honestly, not like that. I mean, we have met with so many potential partners and, individuals that are interested in cryotherapy, and a few before Shark Tank, but it was never in the capacity that we're really pitching our business for someone to give us a big chunk of money and invest in it. So that was really, our Velocity Cryotherapy, on our side, but we were greedy. I mean, of course we want financial security so we can, support ourselves and our family and our friends, but more so than anything, we want to see cryotherapy succeed, and we wanted to find the right partner that we thought, hey, they can, actually make cryotherapy, help us scale this in America. So we were definitely willing to, I think, part with at least 40% equity. And that was probably our final limit was 40% when we were going into Shark Tank.
Wow. So with that, I heard you mention scale. I think I visited your LinkedIn page and I saw the word franchise there. How are you guys scaling since being on the show, or what are the plans for scaling in the next couple of years?
Well, yeah, I mean, cryotherapy spas in the whole country. I'm pretty sure 15 of them were in Texas. So it was brand new. And we were kind of, inventing the game as, we were going along, making the rules and everything. And we just said this therapy works so well that it really should be in every single city. And after a year, there's not 20 anymore. There's around 250 locations. So
Wow.
It's growing as I expected it to. We wanted, for franchise, you got to give people a reason to franchise with you. So, there's a huge learning curve to cryotherapy. There's ways to market it, ways to give the therapy correctly and effectively and give that good experience. And we feel like we've mastered that. And since Shark Tank, we've received probably over 1,000 franchise requests.
Wow.
But, your first 20 or so franchises are so important for setting up your future. They have to be very selective on who you choose and what locations you go into. But probably the most important thing that's happened is the vice president of a huge fitness club chain watched our Shark Tank episode, called me 2 days after the show and said, "Hey, how would you like to put Gloss cryotherapy inside of our fitness club?" I said, "Absolutely. I love it."
Wow.
Yeah, right? I have all these franchise requests. And what's going to happen is we're about to finalize a deal this week, actually. They have over 600 locations in the country. And we can either put our own corporate locations or we can sell our franchise and have people buy into Gloss and open in these fitness clubs. So I think we're going to do probably both. But now we have something a little bit more proprietary to us because we don't make the equipment that we use. But if you want to go into this fitness club, you have to have Gloss over
Wow.
your name.
Wow.
So it's definitely something that's going to help our brand in the future.
Did I just hear you say basically that your brand tripled or quadrupled in locations and is going to do that in one deal?
Well, I think it gives us the possibility for it. It's just a huge opportunity. I mean, we're going to do our best to execute and scale it into all 600 locations, but that's going to take some time and, have to be done right. But we have a bunch of franchise requests, and once I'm able to, present this to the franchise requests we've already received, I think a lot of investors are going to jump all over it because it's a huge opportunity to own your own business, get into a new therapy that's really taking off, and it's going to be a great model inside of this fitness club.
Well, I tell you, it really sounds like you guys are having some rocketing success. Definitely you and your sister. What's your sister's name?
My sister gave up a lot of equity. I mean, my sister and I, we're not great.
Skylar Scarlett, Gloss Cryotherapy. Skylar, why don't you tell the listeners how to find out more about Gloss Cryotherapy?
Please visit us on our website, www.glossacryotherapy.com. It has a bunch of great information for individuals to check out, and also it has a great webpage on it that will discuss the franchising possibilities with us. And then also